Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's probably been a while since I filmed, so I'm really sorry about that, but life is just a little bit manic. I'm in between switching jobs and stuff, so I just haven't quite had a weekend to sort of film. But today we are going to do my September reading wrap up. 10 days into October, but we're just going to pretend that that's not the case. I had a fantastic reading month in September. I've got 10 books to go through. One of them is an audiobook, and the majority of them were 4 or 5 stars. So I just think that that is a fabulous month of reading. I loved all the books that I read. I was getting through them so quickly, and I got through so many that I wanted to. So September was an elite month for reading, and I have some really good hopes for October. But let's start with September's wrap up. The first book that I finished in the month of September was The Summer Girl by Elle Kennedy. This is part of the Avalon Bay series. It is the 3rd book to come out. I'm not sure whether we're due any more for this series or whether this is the final book. I'm really hoping it's not, because I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the first 2. So we've got Good Girl Complex and Bad Girl Reputation. And then The Summer Girl was the latest release, and I had this on pre-order and got to it pretty quickly after it arrived, so I'm super happy about it. This was a 4-star read for me. I think I breezed through it in 2 or 3 days. It's not a very long book, but I went into this one after finishing Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, so it took me longer than a book this size normally would, purely because I was still very much in my Magnolia Park's era. However, this series is elite. I read this just as the UK were going into a little bit of a heat wave. So it's set in a really cute coastal town. So the setting just was really giving the correct energy for this kind of book. We are following Cassie and Tate in this book. Tate we have met previously. He's a character in the first 2 books that has kind of arisen as a side character, and then this is his story. Cassie grew up around Avalon Bay but has kind of moved away to college, living her own life, and she has returned and is living with her grandma. So it's really cute. Tate is a Avalon Bay boy through and through, and you're just kind of watching their romance blossom. So if you haven't picked up the Avalon Bay series, I 100% recommend it. My second book for September. It feels like such a long time ago that I read Flawless by Elsie Silver now, because I've read so much since. If you had told me at the end of August that I would be head over heels for cowboy ranch romances, I'd have told you were stupid. Didn't think it was my thing. Chestnut Springs is 100% my thing. Devoured it. I think I read this in a day. I picked it up and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it, but you know what? I've got the first book. Let's give it a go. The hype around it is so phenomenal. So we'll see. A single day. 1. Read the entire thing and then very quickly went on to buy the rest of the series. It's currently out. But this one is very much a grumpy sunshine, bit of a forbidden romance. We have like a 1-bed trope going on. So we're following Summer and Rhett. Rhett is a world famous bull rider, and Summer works for her dad, who is Rhett's manager. So Rhett's a bit of a bad boy. He's got himself in a few sticky situations with the press and the media and all of that kind of jazz. So Summer's dad tasks her with cleaning up his image. So she is basically a glorified babysitter for a famous bull rider. A bull rider who does not want to be babysat, that is. So she moves in to his ranch, a well-wishing ranch, and that's in the fictional place of Chestnut Springs. And you've got all of his brothers, friends, his dad. It's just so super cute. It's not even funny. So steamy. Like, Elsie Silver has written some scenes that would make you blush. but I'm not mad at it. I love the grumpy sunshine element of this book. And yeah, it was freaking fantastic. Absolutely adored it. The next book I read in October was Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I've had this on pre-order for months, so the second it arrived in my hands, I knew that this was going to be my go-to book. I loved the Knock 'Em Out series. Things We Never Got Over and Things We Hide from the Light were both fantastic books. I've fallen in love with the whole found family aspect of that small town. I think small town romances are, yeah, they're for me. I like them. I think that's a theme. Like, just looking at even the books that I've just read this month, I think small town found family romances are 100% something that I look for. So if you've got any other recommendations, drop them in the comments and let me know. But come back to this book. So Things We Left Behind, this was a 5-star read for me. I loved Lucian and Sloane. We had been waiting for this. Like, the build up for this book has been immense. Like, everyone has been speculating, what is it? Like, we know they knew each other, but nobody could figure out how, in what capacity, what on earth went wrong, that kind of thing. I absolutely loved that there actually was something that happened. Like, I was worried that it was going to be some big miscommunication and we were going to be watching two grown adults who just still couldn't communicate with each other, and that was going to really annoy me. I mean, there's still slight miscommunication, but the thing they fell out over is real. It was a real thing that happened in their past, and you can understand why both Lucian and Sloane feel so strongly about the way that they acted. I don't want to give too much away, but we got past and present, so we had loads of flashbacks of Sloane and Lucian when they were meeting each other and growing up, and the little teenagers that fell in love in the first place, and then watching them muddle through as adults. If you love the Knock 'Em Out series, I'm sure you've probably already picked it up, but in general, if you've never read the Knock 'Em Out series and you are a small town romance reader, you love found family, you want to fall deeply in love with a place and its characters, then I think the Knock 'Em Out series is fantastic. It is now complete with all 3 books, so now would be a really great time to start this series. So then, in the midst of reading Things We Left Behind, I had a parcel arrive. And the rest of the Chestnut Springs series were now in my hands. So the 5th book that I read in October was Heartless by Elsie Silver. Immediate 5 stars. I am now very much on the single dad grumpy sunshine trope. Cade Eaton, be my husband. Just, him and Willa are cute, but like, I would take him 100%. Like, this was beautiful. So Willa, who is our main female character in this book, is Summer from the first book's best friend. She comes to Well-Wishing Ranch to be Cade's son's nanny, and you're just following their romance. It's obviously slightly taboo. She's quite a bit younger. There's definitely an age gap in it. So single dad, age gap, grumpy sunshine. We're just sticking quite a lot of really exciting tropes in one book. So this was an easy 5-star for me, and very, very, very steamy. Just the words for these books are they're escaping me right now because I just think they're so fantastic. So this was my 5th book. I then spotted a book on Amazon Prime. So it was this tiny little novella, Birthday Kisses, which is part of the Lancaster Prep series. This comes after A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, where we follow Crew and Wren. I loved A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, and I have really, really enjoyed pretty much all of the Lancaster Prep books. But unfortunately, this novella fell pretty short for me. I gave it 2 stars, and even then, I'm like, probably wouldn't even have rated it. I was so excited, and I thought, oh my god, getting to see like 2 characters that I really enjoyed reading about the first time around. But it just fell short. I think I skimmed a lot of it. I don't know what I was expecting, but Would I say it's necessarily worth it? No. I'd probably say just stick with the characters as they finish at the end of A Million Kisses in Our Lifetime. This was like £4 something that I spent, and kind of wish I hadn't, which is sad, but it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, this was a 2-star one for me. And then we head straight back into the Chestnut Springs series with Powerless by Elsie Silver. This was a 4-star book for me. This followed Jasper and Sloane. Jasper is a best friend of the Eaton brothers, so he has grown up with them on the ranch nearby, but he is a famous hockey player. So it's still ranch life in terms of he very much knows how to handle himself on a ranch. He helps the boys out. He's very much still a country boy at heart, but he is also a famous hockey player. Sloane is a cousin of the Eaton boys. So Sloane has kind of grown up. Her and Jasper have known each other like since they were kids. They've always had like a really cute connection. So you kind of got that like brother's best friend-esque style, but she is a runaway bride. He helps her run away from her wedding, and then it's kind of them both finding themselves outside of this friendship that they've kind of pretended that they have when they both know it's so much more. So I thought it was really cute. There's kind of a little bit of trauma that they work through together. He is just such an alpha male, fully protective of Sloane, and I am here for it. So this was my 7th read, I think, 6th or 7th read in October. Sorry. And then I did not take a break from the Chestnut Springs series, and I went straight into Reckless. This is arguably my favourite book in the series. I think between this one and Heartless I struggle, but I really, really love this one. And this was back to another 5-star, and we're following... This is back to another 5-star, and we're following Theo, Silver, and Winter. Now, Winter is Summer from the first book's sister, half-sister, and Theo is another bull rider, and he is like Rhett from the first book's protege. So you can really see the found family aspect in this, like all of the characters link in some way to each other, which is absolutely my favourite thing. I love knowing that no one's just some random person that's come out off the street and stuff. Like, they all know each other, which is beautiful to me. So this is an accidental pregnancy trope. It was the first book that I've ever read with that trope, but I wasn't disappointed, because it's not like, that isn't the heavy focus. Like, you see their one night stand and then you see the after, like it's not focused on her pregnancy. And so you're watching, and I don't want to give too much away because like I don't want to say too much more in the book, because there are loads of things that you're like, how could he do that? And then you're like, oh my god, now I get it, like literally a few moments later in the book. So this was the wrap up so far for the Chestnut Springs series, but I have Hopeless, which is the 5th and final book for Bo Eaton on pre-order. I had a notification yesterday to say it's been shipped, so hoping it's in my hands very, very soon. And I can conclude my journey into the Chestnut Springs series. I have really high hopes. I reckon it's probably going to be another 5-star, but we will see. I then started my audiobook journey. So I downloaded Audible, and I read, or I listened to, I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Now, I haven't given this a rating because I know loads of other like people on BookTok and BookTube kind of have the same opinion, that rating a memoir about someone's actual life is really difficult. Like, I don't want to say, oh, she's got a 5-star life, or like that doesn't feel right to me. So no rating on this one, but I did really enjoy it. I don't know what I was expecting, but I don't think I'd have ever sat down and read like a biography. I don't think that's really my style of reading. I much prefer a story, so that I'm picturing it. However, listening to this as an audiobook, it was usually in my car, so when I was driving to work and stuff, I would have it on, and it being narrated by Jeanette herself just brought it to life so much more. I think you could feel the real like emotion in her voice. So I highly recommend it. Downloading Audible, and that was literally the first book that I've listened to on there. And it was a really good way to start that journey and feel kind of like connecting to audiobooks. So highly recommend giving it a go. We are then on to the final 2 books that I read in the month of October. Nope, we're then on to the final 2 books that I read in the month of September. Book number 9 is the extremely chunky Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is the first book in the Boys of Tommen series. I put this off for so long because I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this. This was a solid 5-star for me. I'm quiet because it's such a hard one to talk about because I loved it. It is probably one of the most beautiful found family books that I have ever read, and I love that trope, so this was just done so spectacularly. But it is so sad. Like, it is heartbreaking, the things that Shannon, our main female character, has gone through, and watching Johnny, our main male character, help her through those things. We get loads of insight into Shannon's siblings. She's the only girl and she's got lots of younger brothers and 2 older brothers. Watching the dynamic in her house, along with watching her fall in love with Johnny but not wanting to because she doesn't want to drag him into her life. It's heartbreaking. These are teenagers. They are in high school in Ireland, Cork, Ireland, I believe. So it's set in a high school, so they are so very young. But Johnny is a rugby prodigy. He is exceptional for like a 17-year-old lad. He plays for Ireland internationally, so he's exceptional. So you've got a sport element, but it is not a sports romance. It just isn't. But the rugby plays a part. I don't know. It's a difficult one to explain. So it's hard to recommend because of a lot of the triggers in here. So if you are thinking of reading it, 100% you need to check the trigger warnings and make sure that you can. And it's not going to upset you too much. But for me, Binding 13 was an easy 5-star. Then I'm not sure it's going to be any surprise, but the final book that I read in September was Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. So this is the second book in the Boys of Tommen series. I read it literally straight after, finished it like easy. 2 800-page books in like 3 or 4 days to finish the full 1,600 pages that this series contains. And it was so easy. I breezed through it. This one is no less sad. So don't think you can get through the first one, then you get a really happy-go-lucky book. It's still heartbreaking, but there are definitely more happy moments. And for me, the happy moments in this series, they outweigh anything bad. So this was another 5-star for me. And I'm so glad to have kind of like seen Johnny and Shannon from start to finish. I'm sad that their story is over. I'm definitely looking forward to picking up the next ones, which I believe we've got Redeeming 6 and Saving 6. I think they're the next 2. I promised myself I'm not going to buy any more books this month because I've got loads on my shelf to read and a few pre-orders, but once I'm kind of potentially out of October, I will look to pick up the next 2 in this series because I am absolutely certain that I'm going to love them. And so they were the 10 books that I read / listened to in the month of September. I'm sure, as you can see, it was a fantastic reading month. Not only is it probably the most books that I've ever read in a month, it was the most I've enjoyed every single book that I've read. I was worried coming off of my Magnolia Parks journey at the end of August that I was going to go into a bit of a slump, but these books, the Chestnut Spring series in general, I definitely know really helped to make me not, and I was just bang, bang, bang into another series, falling in love with some new characters, and I believe that is why I'm a series girl through and through. So if you have any book recommendations based on kind of the books that you saw that I read there, because I think these are like literally my favourite kind of books, so if you've got any that maybe match those vibes, small town romances, age gap maybe a little bit, but not like creepy age gap. Grumpy Sunshine is always a trope that I'm looking at. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and maybe let me know what you read in September. What were your favourite books? I think my favourites were the Boys of Tommen series, those two. I think they're probably my two favourite books this month. But it's going to be very quickly followed by Heartless and Reckless from the Chestnut Spring series. So fantastic reading month, and I can't wait to let you guys all know what I read. And I can't wait to let you guys know what I read in the month of October. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!